pretty
And I
nasty.
didn't. And my dad's office was right there on that corner. So
That's awesome.
Oh, well, as usual, for anybody that's joining us for the first time or it's been a while, we don't really talk about much here that's important except the weather.
It's a new face. Hi, Mark.
So
Hi.
I like,
Mark.
you can tell I like seeing people's faces.
Oh, we mostly joined it to see what shenanigans our friend Tina has been up to lately. But occasionally we actually talk about the platform and security and a couple things like that. So I'll start this off, say it the way I always do, with the question that gets silence. Does anybody have any questions about the platform, about any new features? Silence every week, Ben. Every week.
I'm okay with no problems.
You probably get this a lot, but I know you guys had some plans to remove the noise on the location, Microsoft location.
Mhm.
Is that in a plan sometime
yes.
soon?
Yes, I will say that it is got some people in not a state of full panic, but there's some challenges. And so here's what the challenge is, if anybody hasn't tripped across this, and not everyone is affected. Um, GCNAT is CGNAT is carrier grade NAT, which means that, and I'll give you a very real example. Um, when Verizon went live with their home 5G networking system in the beginning, everyone in the Western United States that looks like is a bloody mess because we can't see what's really happening. The same thing happens with some services like the satellite dish services and everything else. Very famously, chief guys, I'm coming out of a cold, so if it's a little fuzzy today, that's where it's coming from. Chip, our CTO at SaaS, and one of our founders, he is on Starlink, and he and 4,000 other people come up. Not a new problem. The challenge is that we have some um, carriers are now putting people by default. Any new customers coming in are automatically going into GC or CGNAT. And what that means to us is the algorithms that are used by all the IP, every time you look up an IP, checkmyip.com or whatever, they're querying lots of different databases and looking at behaviors as well. For instance, if I saw one IP that cycled out a bunch of different users all the time and kept switching activity and had completely various and sundry different kinds of activity about what are these people doing across that IP, that tends to look like a VPN. So that is a challenge because the more people that are starting to use the carrier grade NAT, the more that those IPs are getting flagged incorrectly. Now, um, I know that some people on this call have had experience with that directly, and they've had to ask to be opted out because they don't want their office IPs that they own a static IP or they're leased a static IP to be incorrectly labeled. But it's garbage in, garbage out right now. We're looking at a couple of different service providers that are going to be better at this, but because the root problem is how the ISPs, the carriers themselves, are delivering services to end users, that's where the problem lies. So, Mario, you're not alone in struggling with this.
It's okay. I
Yeah.
just had to ask.
Oh no,
Um,
we genuinely appreciate that, and I hate to give you the what sounds like a canned speech, but it's not.
Because
I
everything
was
else
just
is great. I have no issues whatsoever. This is the only thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Mario. So, for background, we've used our own internal databases. We started off actually, years and years ago now. It's funny to say, Ben, most of a decade ago when we started this project, we actually looked at using IP data from Microsoft, and it was hit or miss, to say the least. So that's when we went and sourced an IP information aggregator called ipdata.co. We've never hidden that. And that's what we use to enrich those alerts. So when an action happens in a SaaS application, Microsoft, Dropbox, Salesforce, anything, all they're doing is telling us the IP source. We then enrich that alert with data from, in this case, ipdata.co. Is this a VPN? Have I seen abuse or attacks from here? Is it a Tor? We don't see those often, but those are happening. So that's where you get some more intelligence around that. The challenge is with what is it, 7 trillion IPs, things tend to move around. Bad guys tend to hide their behavior with that. So there is some value in that. And for those partners that have leveraged that information, part of my standard talk track and onboarding is talking about identifying, activity over a VPN. There's value there. But now that we're getting, shall we say, mixed results from the source, from the ISPs, that becomes less valuable. And that's a challenge. So long-winded way of saying it, Mario, yes, we're looking at aggregating from multiple providers. Now that we're part of the big bad Kaseya, we're looking at what other applications have been doing. Also, how they could leverage the data that we're getting to try to get you the most accurate information possible. We get asked about this. It's really started. It blew up in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Rim about a month ago now, where literally within overnight there were thousands upon thousands of household IPs, business IPs, that all of a sudden got flagged as VPNs, which were not, because there were some of the ISPs down there had made a switch.
Okay.
So that's where this is coming from. I don't have an answer for you today, except that we are looking at a couple of other options. It is top of mind from Mr. Lippy on down. And so everybody's very concerned about this.
Hey, Anthony.
Awesome.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say thank you. I appreciate it.
Anthony, Michael's
Ben,
looking
keep me
at
honest.
Michael's looking at a couple of them. We have one partner suggested ip2location.io. He has meetings with criminal IP, MaxMind, and IP data, db-ip.com. So if you guys have ones that you have IP threat information feeds that you use, feel free to toss them over. We're mostly looking at ones that can handle a large amount of API calls, and not charge an arm and a leg, obviously, but
Right.
I think it's worth it to take a look. But he's looking at some good ones.
It is. So in the meantime, the balance is, okay, if the IP data is perhaps not as reliable as I might like, what is reliable? And where we always started with SaaS alerts was behavior. If my account's on a different device in a different place, that's one thing. But if it's me, my behavior is always going to be kind of the same. I'm going to do kind of the same things with, let somebody else in, buddy. Kind of the same things with my account. So lean into that with your respond rules and your IOCs. Enrique, my friend, how can I help you today?
Hello, guys. Good morning. No, just wondering, going to these IPs, man, they're a mess. I own my own IP addresses, and they're all over the place. Not just with SaaS alerts, with anyone from speed test to IP chicken, any type of IP lookup service you want to do. It shows me Mexico. It shows me Vented Logistics. It shows me one MSP, all my different companies. Sometimes they'll show San Antonio or Dallas where our SD-WAN gateway is. But yeah, we're all over the place.
Appreciate that perspective, Enrique, because yeah, I didn't want to call anybody out, but I know a number of folks on this call have had that challenge. I had one partner blow up furious at us. He says, "Hey, I own this IP. It's in a McDonald's or, fast food joint." And then I had to show him 3 other services that gave him 3 different answers. And no one was happy about that conversation. But at the end of the day, he began to understand that it really is garbage in, garbage out. It's a challenge. And Stephen, watch out for those low batteries.
Ben, did you say DBIP geolocation the service?
Yeah,
I-
DB-IP.
Yeah. They're pretty reputable.
Yeah.
I've seen them before on my
Yeah,
streaming services.
Yeah, we just need to find one that gives good threat intel. If we're not doing that, then a combination of that. Criminal IP looks pretty cool, but uh, it does a lot of things.
Okay.
But I don't know how it looks also really super expensive, so I don't know what they're going to do there. But IP2, the number 2 location.io was actually pretty good as well. And didn't have the same kind of issues that ipdata.co seems to be experiencing. I know our team is reaching out to ipdata.co every time we run into these sort of issues and saying, hey, this is incorrect. Please update your stuff instead of just updating it in ours.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there is a feedback loop there. If you've got problems, it feels like kind of a pain in the ass, but open up a support ticket. Because the more, and let's face it, the squeaky wheel exists for a reason. The more they hear from us, the more they have to fix, and the more that they will continue to upgrade their services, regardless of the provider. And so this is an industry-wide challenge. If I can't accurately use my algorithms to determine activity, something's got to change, either the activity, the reporting, or the algorithms. So anybody have any other questions about IPs? This is some very important stuff, and I want to make sure that everybody gets a punch in if they need to. All right, guys, this is we'll continue to update. I'm hoping for information sooner rather than
That's cool. Enrique, yours actually shows the IP ISP is one MSP.LLC. So that database is showing that you own that IP.
I do own them, and
So
that
that's
is
pretty
correct.
cool.
But
I wonder
everyone
if
else shows me all over the place.
Mhm.
yeah, I gave that one to the one that just reported that to. Oh yeah, this shows Mexico, and the other one showing Texas, San Antonio.
Yeah, and the reason is my main ASM within Aaron is owned by a Mexican company of mine.
Mm,
And then I took a Class C out of that big chunk and assigned it to one MSP.
yeah,
And
Internet D in the
sometimes it'll pull it
web.
correct, sometimes it doesn't. And
Hmm.
it's like, and you can tell Aaron, and there's no way to fix this.
No. Or if you do get information into their database, all the corollary databases around the globe take weeks or months to update. Stephen W., what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey guys, I have found a site called ipapi.is. I'm going to put it in the chat. They're pretty. Let's see, papi.is, and also I was looking through some of our alerts in SaaS alerts, and I saw something that it said that this is an IP check that y'all did from Spur. Does that sound familiar?
Spur.
Yeah, let me find it here. Spur.us. It was an IP check that y'all it was in the logs in SaaS alerts for some rule that fired, and it came back with Spur.us as as doing an IP check, or maybe even a VPN check. I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but
I think that's the data that ipdata.co uses. Usually they'll make
okay.
reference to where they're pulling their sources from.
Okay.
That might be them.
Okay.
Yours. Okay, so that one's. I'm just pulling up your. Let's see what yours says about Enrique's IP address. That one's still reporting his internet de nuevo. And let me see. Oh, it does mention your one MSP. That's pretty good. Do they do, I guess the question was, okay, so they do have a little bit of threat intel as well. And their location is San Antonio. That's kind of cool. I'll pass this along to Mike. Okay. I sent that over to him. I don't know. Yeah, they just need to be able to handle a large amount of queries, which it looks like they can. 2 million requests per day for 200 a month. That's not bad. Yeah.
We might ask for a little more data than that. Anybody who's new to the call, one of my favorite little stats to throw out is, and the last time I checked this was literally like October, so I need to get some fresh numbers on this, but
Mm-hmm.
we process 1.2 billion alerts every day. So that's a pretty staggering number.
Yeah, alerts, yes. IP addresses, I wouldn't think so.
Well, and
Like,
let's see, and that's the question that I don't know. That we need
yeah,
to get one of our dev guys on this call
I would
just
think
to
we
hammer it
cached
down.
it a little bit.
Oh, we definitely have our own algorithms looking at that. Yeah.
Well, like
So
cache the IP address information, like we'll query it once for like this IP address, and we don't requery it every single time that it pops. And I think that's what allows us to modify our data without affecting IP data. So
yeah, I don't want to say that out loud because I'm pretty sure every IP data provider says you're not supposed to use this data except in transit, as it were. You're not allowed to cache any of that. So I'm
yeah,
just going to leave that
who
there and
knows?
walk away.
Who
Any
knows?
case, Stephen W., thanks for the heads up. Love
Yeah.
feedback like that.
Yeah, Michael had acknowledged it, and he's going to take a look at it. Yeah, he's been in charge of that project. It shouldn't be too difficult. A lot of these APIs they formatted very
Very
similarly.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so much data we can talk about around an API. It's just a matter of matching up the API endpoints.
Now, this one gives you
Right.
the weather code. Find out what the weather is.
You're being attacked guy in the Seychelles, and the weather is beautiful.
I know, right?
Ben, I don't know if you saw that about a month ago. All of a sudden, we were getting a ton of attacks from the Seychelles off of the eastern coast of Africa.
Oh.
It's a little archipelago, and for like 2 weeks, every time I do a demo, there was attacks happening from there. I don't know. It's just one of those weird little things. Any case, any other questions about APIs? Any input? Any feedback?
Ours doesn't give you the weather. We need to switch to one that does.
Yeah, as Ben noted, it's the volume that really is. Of course, quality is important, but there's just a lot of these that can't handle the volume of what we're asking for. And for anybody that hasn't heard us talk about how we started, we always wanted to build a product that at a decent price point offered a lot of value. I can charge you $42 a seat for every one of these things and have brilliant data, but I don't think anybody's going to buy it at $42 a seat. So this is kind of the balance that we came in with. And so far, I think, based on some of the feedback we've gotten, some people are pretty happy with the product. So we'll continue to try to expand that and add value without having to raise rates or anything like that. That would be silly.
Yeah, we want to. There's a couple of pretty much open source free like threat feeds that we can be pulling from that I think we're looking at doing in the future.
And that's been a little bit of the challenge is we were kind of monomaniacal about this one feed works and is
Mm-hmm.
good enough. How do I do better at this with having maybe multiple feeds and some aggregated AI? I didn't say AI, aggregation processes in the middle to really try to qualify that data and find out what's really going on so that we don't end up with an occasion like our friend Enrique that's got 7 different answers for an IP. He already knows what the truth is.
I
In
want
any
to pull
case,
from Alien Vault.
uh, um, anybody have any other questions? Anything else on the platform that's making you pull your hair out or bang your head against the wall?
Any updates or new things?
All kinds of new things as of this morning,
Mhm.
Enrique. Stephen, I saw you also raise your hand. Did you have a
Mhm.
question, a complaint?
Yeah, I did. It's more. We keep getting, we have repeat VPN abusers, and I'm just trying to figure out best way to exclude them without excluding them from the risky activities rule. But it's more of a, well, I'm sure I can figure it out eventually.
I have good news for you.
Yes.
Oh, this
Ben.
is a team effort. We all need to figure it out together so we learn.
James, I won't forget you. Ben, how can we help our friend Stephen deal with such an issue? maybe one of those great new IOCs that talks about stuff, or what else?
Stuff and things. Let's see. Okay, good. I'm not in anybody's particular tenant. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna pull it out an event that happened. Let's do Microsoft and medium or critical. So we kind of already talked about the advanced suppression, and I'm going to drive Anthony crazy by showing him broken images. But we added a little bit more functionality to it. I think it was yesterday or the day before. So you can, like, for those VPN users, especially if if you're using a consistent VPN, you can select like an ASN if you wanted to. You could also select a location. You could also do if it's a known VPN, you could do something like that. I'm just setting this up. This, will be specific to you. You can select multiple accounts, organizations, or their entire partners. But what we added recently is this right here. So you can skip IOC, skip respond, skip outside approved location. All of these are now unlocked. So if you do have a respond rule that's triggering, rather than exclude them from the respond rule, create this and then just select skip respond, and that will keep them from triggering, especially if there's parameters that you can rely on being the same, such as like ASN or this flag. Does that kind of help?
Well, unfortunately, there's several that do it, but this will work for a few of them for sure. A few of them have a reliable. They use a legitimate, or not a legitimate, but a more prominent, I guess, VPN. So
Yeah.
they're pretty steady with their IP, their ASNs and such. But there's a
Mhm.
few of the end users that they have like it. To me, it's sketchy VPNs, but they have different ASNs, they have different locations, different
Mhm.
IPs, different, and all of the, I know they're not compromised because I've confirmed it with
Mhm.
the end user, and so I know it's not a compromise, and it's just they're sketchy VPNs. So I can't isolate the ASN or location or the IP obviously. So it's that's this what you just showed me will definitely work for some of them for sure.
Mhm.
We've
Do they
got
show up as VPNs under the threat feed or anything, like known
Yes,
VPN?
known
You
VPN, known threat, known anonymous, but it's legit traffic. It's not a threat.
Yeah, and yours will say, instead of false, yours will say true. You could
Hmm.
select that. Now, just keep in mind that that's pretty big.
Hmm.
There
Right.
needs to be some understanding there, because a lot of threat actors do that same kind of behavior.
Hmm.
But this would at least allow you to exclude them from your rules, and but it could be very dangerous. But it also is something that, in the past, people have said, "Hey, I've added this ASN uh, to the power filters. Why is my rule still triggering?" And I had to explain to people that the power filters really only applies to outside approved locations and nothing else. So you identifying things, even when it was called whitelisting, wasn't really truly whitelisting. It was just applying to that outside approved, whereas this does allow you to essentially whitelist off of other things. It
Okay.
is specifically tied to a certain event. Now, this in the future will be, I think, customizable. You can add multiple events. You could suppress them as they come up. It's kind of like whack-a-mole. But in the future, you'll be able to do this, and they're also releasing the API for it, so you'll be able to create these with the API much faster than this method, and also proactively instead of waiting for them to occur. So
Steve,
something to
and
keep
I'd
in mind.
also say, kind of reflecting back on that idea of behavior, layer in things in your responder IOCs. Did it have a valid enter device ID? If you're using supported PSA, I'm sorry, PSA. God, this cold is going to kill me. If you're if you're using a supported RMM, layer in that. Try to add in as much information as you can to get rid of all that noise, and make sure that you don't miss any of those actual bad guy events. And for anybody that hasn't seen it, um, Medina, love to have a conversation about that here in about 2 minutes after we've taken care of both Stephen and James, if James even remembers what his question was. Ben, what are we seeing here?
So this right here is a good
Yeah.
is the IOC. It also exists in the template, the community templates, if you ever want to reference it. But basically, this is a decent one for identifying unknown devices. So it looks for either it being in the RMM, failing that, or in addition to, is it giving you an Entra ID indicating that it's either registered, at least, you know, or joined or at least registered with Entra, and it's not a mobile device. But this one has been very helpful in combination with other uh, factors, like IP address is helpful, like, you know, but it's doesn't only solely rely on the IP address. This can encourage you to maybe look at conditional access policies that make the users do an additional task if they're coming from a strange device or something.
Yeah.
But at least
Yeah.
notify you.
Yeah, we have our own unapproved authorization from an unknown or unapproved device like this also. I did have another question, but it was unrelated to this. So if you want to circle back to me, that's fine.
You'll remember it, Stephen. I will appreciate that.
Yes, I will.
James, my friend, my very patient friend, how can I help you? How can we
Hey,
help you?
everyone. First, before the question, I just want to say thank you for getting the suppressions working for respondent IOCs. That will help. My question, and I apologize if this is a stupid question, but I couldn't figure out a way to do it, and I'm not sure if there is one. But is there a way that we can filter out guest accounts for alerts?
Very fair question. Today, I think the answer is no, Ben.
Not really. You could do like, I think a workaround with IOCs, I believe.
Or respond rules, maybe, because we haven't moved on.
Yeah.
Just because we get a lot of alerts that are creating tickets for us for just random guest users at a client logging and accessing material from a quote unquote unapproved location, but the client doesn't care where they're coming from, and it's kind of just creating noise.
Let's see.
If you can't beat your clients into stopping anonymous file shares, this is a challenge. It absolutely is.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing that I can think of is basically so like, let's brainstorm this out. Disabling the default file sharing event that's triggering all the time, right? That, and creating like a custom IOC that potentially triggers, but is a low. But then I don't have to think about that. So basically, what you can do is with IOCs is create your own event down here. And let me see, did I not select? Oh. Let's see.
I mean, if
Share.
Fast Alerts knows what a user is a guest user versus a billable user, isn't there? Would be an easy way just to say like
It's
filter.
URN, SPO, anon. You'll always
Mhm.
see that whatever the UID string is, it'll be prepended by that. So that's my question to you, Ben, is could we use URN, SPO, anon or something in that field to say ignore this?
I would think so. It's as we can basically pull in the username, right, and we can filter based off of the uh, existence or non-existence of a certain user in here. So I would almost have to say, I would need to know the text that's right, maybe like right before here, I think, and say, and like trigger it. I don't know. It'd be kind of a workaround. I would prefer us to say to do that in the platform rather than this kind of way. But let me think about it and let me look up some examples before I say anything. But I
Being able just to filter out guests in general, I think would be beneficial.
Agreed.
There was also speaking, and when Anthony mentioned the username portion of it, there was also an issue we were running into. I guess it's kind of similar where we just started deploying Idemium, I think is the name of the product. It's like a centralized kind of password or access, kind of just-in-time access management
Mm-hmm.
system. And we were running into issues because the way it works is it basically constantly rotates the password and does all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. So it was triggering. We had a rule in place, kind of probably not a very super beneficial rule, but it basically just looked for password, like frequent password rotations. And it was triggering that. And I couldn't find, I mean, all the user accounts had some string in it. It was like idemium dash or something along those lines, but I couldn't figure out a way to create a filter to say ignore this type of like a username that contains X.
Yeah, you'd have to make your own, I think probably craft your own alert here or event, whatever you want to call it. And basically, since we can put it whatever we want to in the event description, it's something that you could, with respond to say if it contains or doesn't contain something in there. Let me see if I can show you.
I didn't see an option for username contains.
No, that's why you'd have to get sneaky with it, because with respond, you can do filters off of event description or description details, what they call it. So like do this. When we do an IOC, I'm just going to just say whatever. And we can say description details, which is what we were crafting in that previous window. And that's where you could do contains, does not contain, exists, does not contain, matches pattern, does not match pattern. And we kind of talked about patterns, I think, a couple of weeks ago. But since you can control what's in this description details, which is the larger box of text under the IOC, that gives you the ability to pretty much filter up across anything that you put in there. Does that make sense?
And again, we haven't moved to IOCs yet because we still need to get that fixed on our side. But like
Yeah.
you're basically saying create an IOC that is like a trigger almost that feeds into another IOC that then filters it out.
Could do that too, but mostly I was saying that since you control event descriptions down here, like this is the event description, which is the main text, which in a lot of cases, like when you're looking at an event, it's like I am event successful login or something. Like that's typically what you would see in our list of like global events. But then you have the smaller text below that, which in the past wasn't customizable, but with this it is. And you have the ability to add any of this short code into this event description. So, while we can't create a filter for a username, I could create a filter for event description and then just here's my username right here. I can insert it into there as well as anything else. So pretty much anything in this list, we could technically filter off of because we can filter off of event descriptions or description details.
So
right
then you could take any of those URN, SPO, anon
here.
in the description details.
Yeah.
Now that's isolated in the description details and feed that into something else. I know that's not
Mhm.
exactly where you're
That's
going
saying
with
like
this, but
you're making like two IOCs. One is basically kind of using, a trigger to kind of, create this event that's not going to create a ticket. And then you have a second IOC that then that basically ingests that IOC event, parses
Yeah.
it out, creates exceptions or filters, and then actually that would generate the ticket if it excludes.
Yeah. You could definitely do that. I was more referring to creating a respond rule, but you can create an IOC that has an IOC as a trigger. So it's kind of like what you said, an embedded IOC where it says, hey, this IOC is description details, whatever, and then just trigger. So yeah, totally.
Okay.
I know it's kind of a roundabout way of doing things.
no, but it gets you the results you want. And James, some of our largest partners have turned a ton of stuff down to low, and they've started to make IOCs specific to industries or clients or different users, so that they're getting very insect specialized results out of an IOC that triggers an IOC that's stacked with a couple of other IOCs triggers the respond rule. So these are absolutely stackable and nestable like this.
Yeah, and that might actually work well. Even though we haven't started using IOCs to alert yet, we could still use them as a trigger for a respond alert.
Yeah.
So good option for that username matching thing. So I'll play
Absolutely.
with the idea. But I mean, I think it would be useful to have like a general filter level guess
Yes.
yes or no kind of option.
It's
Exactly as Ben
that's a
said.
feature request in
Yeah.
Nolt, I know.
Yeah, no, that's and better identifying, this is an admin account, this is an end user account, this is a guest user account. That's been one of our challenges from day one, is to better identify those.
Yeah, we get that a lot. It's
Stephen, before I jump back to my friend, very patient friend Medina, did you have something contextual here?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to notice or state that I've noticed that whenever you create string IOC, like IOC, and then that feeds into a different IOC, that feeds into, etc. There's a delay between ticket creating. Let me go back. There's a delay between. So if you have just a respond rule and the respond rule fires 15, 20 minutes later, a PSA ticket will be created. If you have an IOC that triggers that feeds into a respond rule, it takes 15 minutes for that IOC and then 15 minutes longer for that respond rule. So it makes the delay for creation of the PSA ticket longer.
Right.
that's not right.
No. That's one thing to note. If you build an IOC, it is not available to be nested or using a respond rule for about 15 minutes because it's only 4 times an hour they poll on that.
Yeah, but it shouldn't take that long to get to the ticket system.
Yeah, but it should not. Once the IOC exists, so you build an IOC, you build 3 IOCs today, and then you build a respond rule to trigger on all 3 of those. If all 3 of those IOCs or alerts trigger tomorrow, my understanding was that should have happened in minutes flat, not 15 minutes plus 15 minutes plus 15 minutes. So thanks for bringing that up, Stephen. We'll take
you
that
might
back
want to
to
tell
our dev
Amanda
team.
about that one.
Yeah. I'll see if we can test and reproduce that. Stephen, if one of our devs wants to reach out to you, would you be okay with that?
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Any questions about IOCs and stacking before we go help our friend Medina, who's been very patient for the last 12 minutes? Medina, I think you're talking about one of our oldest and what Chestnut or whatever they want to call that email forwarding risky naming convention rules. Ben, do you have that one handy at your? Yeah, and I will sort of say this: a few of these are really trying to teach an MSP to fish. They're not perfect for everyone, and in this case, yeah, right. Jake Turant, he's yeah, it is, and he's an engineer for a very large organization, and they
forgot
don't.
about this one.
Oh no, yeah, that would still exist, man.
Oh no!
As an organization, they don't allow people to generate their own email forwarding rules. They have to open up a support ticket to get that built for them. So this rule is perfect for them because if an end user ends up in the wrong security group and is allowed to do that on their own, they get an alert. So
yes. So we have tried. I've actually talked to someone as well on your team. I've created a support ticket regarding this, and they worked with me to create this event or this rule, but still triggers every time, like anyone who makes a everybody shakes their head.
Yeah. So the one that I've forgotten about, this has been that long since I've been doing this, but yeah, the Anthony's right. This was intentionally set up this way, but I don't agree with it. But hey, he put it in there, then I can't really modify it. But what I tell our partners to do is to remove this first one and basically put it down here, because yeah, you're right. What's triggering for you is just one. It's they've enabled a rule and that causes this rule to fire. So if you delete that out of there and you can just exit, you don't have to do anything crazy. When you save it, it'll take this away and move it down here. But so much has changed in the platform since this was released that you really don't need this here, and you don't need this here either. Just this period right here is really all you need. And the way our database works is it ignores punctuation special characters, right? So what that means is when this triggers, it's looking for a rule that has no name, and Microsoft doesn't allow that. So it pretty much just says any special character that exists, would qualify. I don't know how that magic works, but it does. Another
Okay.
thing that you can do that we've talked about in the past is you can add a, well, let's see, I'm not to add, I'm gonna do, which one is it? Or, and I'm gonna say description details matches pattern. And I'm going to paste that in there. So with the patterns, and we have a KB article around here somewhere about it, but basically allows you to do wildcards in the form of an asterisk or a question mark. Now, if you put an asterisk here, this is also going to trigger every single time someone creates a rule, because asterisk means anything, any characters, any
Wild
length.
card.
Yeah, so no good. But if we do a question mark, that means any single character, any alphanumeric character, but only one. And a lot of threat actors like to do, they run through the same things. They either create special characters of any varying lengths, which is covered by this one, or they just do a single alphanumeric character, just like A, B, C, D, whatever. And that would cover that. You could put 2 question marks, and that's 2 special, 2 characters, but usually this right here, as it stands, should be fine for you. And we're
Okay.
making some improvements to this event specifically. As soon as dev is done with it, it'll be a lot better. But for this will be very effective. And Anthony posted an article. Is that the one with the
Talks a little bit about wildcards. It's down
It
there a
does?
bit.
Okay,
It's
good.
vague. It's not as detailed as one might
That's
like.
nice. Yeah, I thought there was one about patterns, like it had. Oh, okay. Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, that's kind of what I said. These are really helpful, especially if you have like OneDrive or something and you want to like monitor a specific folder or something, or activity in a folder. It sometimes can be helpful.
Okay.
But yeah. But anyway, this right here, that one here, this one right here should be good for you to get rid of all those triggers.
All those triggers. Okay.
Yeah. So
Um.
this one right here will only do should only do like really, really bad stuff.
Okay. Just a question mark. Matches pattern. Okay. I
Yeah.
could do that.
Yep.
And Medina, when you guys are prospecting, there's a nice report in the report section that allows you to see all of the existing email forwarding rules. So run that against any new clients or existing clients to find out if you've got a user out there that has a habit of making, 1, is there a name of their email forwarding rule? 2, because they know what that means, but they don't
Oh
realize
yeah,
that might.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I have I have memorized every client that still has email forwarding at this point, because I have to check every single alert and email. I'm like, okay, this sounds legit. Like
Oh
somebody
no.
is trying to make something out of it. So
That's
Right on.
nostalgic. I haven't thought about that in a long time. That was one that I'd always cover during our when I was a sales engineer.
Yeah. Medina, is that enough to get you down the road, you think?
I have a few other questions. I don't know if time will allow that, but for under settings, the rule, we get still an alert or a ticket regarding if somebody enables MFA, multi-factor. And when we did create a ticket, it said to keep it in low, the low severity. We have it in low severity, but somehow it still triggers the ticket.
It's weird.
I think it's multi-factor.
MULTI.
Yeah.
And ULTI.
I know. I tried to look up for that too. I'm like,
I
why I
get this
cannot find it?
confused.
But yeah.
Yeah, why should
fourth
that
one
be
down.
consistent? Yeah. Yeah, if that's set to low, as Ben's example here is, whenever somebody, and to be clear, if anybody's not familiar with the functionality here, if you turn on MFA for the first time, or if you add a different functionality, like I've added SMS as well as Authenticator, then that will show as enable. And so that's something we do want to be cognizant of, because bad guys sneak in. and then they add their own phone number as a fallback position for SMS.
Yeah.
But we found it was quite noisy in the beginning, so that's why we turned it down to low. If that's firing as a medium or a critical, Medina, do me a favor, grab a screenshot and email it to me directly. It's Anthony at SaaS Alerts. I'm pretty easy to find. And if we can take that conversation offline.
Perfect. I'll do that. Thank you.
And
One more
any
question
other,
before thing.
please. Yes, thank you.
So some of our customers uses Ignite for their database. So for the Ignite, I was able to do like when we begin with SaaS Alert with in the beginning, I was able to connect there with the connection. It was successful, everything. For some reason, it got disconnected with Ignite now, SaaS Alert. And for the life of me, I cannot get it back to work. I have talked to the Ignite side of people and SaaS Alerts, I believe, and I haven't figured out the solution yet. And still shows disconnected.
Medina, do me a favor, shoot me that support ticket number. I'd like to have some people take a look at this.
Yeah, I have to dig for it.
Yeah, you'll have to dig for it, but yeah, no. And the reason I'm a little surprised at that is I came out of the AEC stack, and I know a lot of people using Ignite have been very happy with the telemetry that we're getting out of it. So if something's gone sideways, something on our side or something on their side's changed, I want to know about that.
Yeah, when they ask for their domain, it's actually asking for www. whatever their site is, and I add that, instead of taking me to verify their credentials and stuff, instead of that, it just takes me to their website. It shows up their website.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should
I've
be
never
smart
actually
enough to
made one of
resolve
those
that.
connections, so yeah, I'm not gonna be much help here.
No, I've done it on a couple of calls, and it was monkey simple. It was like connecting IT glue. It took 2
Okay.
seconds.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
love to take that offline, Medina. Let me know.
Well, thank you. I will give you an
Absolutely.
email soon.
James, how can I help?
Hey, just to touch base on what you were just talking about. So because I appreciate you going over the matching thing, because I was apparently incorrect, but my original thought was that the wildcards question mark and asterisk actually applied to the contains, not the thing. So just to confirm, that's not the case. It has to be the
Matches.
Pattern. Yeah.
Matches pattern. Okay. And did you say earlier that period is still a wild card for the contains or no?
Period is a wild card for any special characters of pretty much any length.
Of any length? In
So dash.
Yeah,
or
because
dash
the
dot.
way that because like basically, like I said, the database ignores special characters in this instance, so it would have to be it's looking at it going a blank rule, which doesn't exist. So a blank rule of any special of any length is still kind of considered a blank rule. So if someone loaded it up with special characters, our system still sees a blank rule. So that's kind of how it works.
So just so I understand, so if I have a rule that says, whatever the rule box, the rule contains, or the rule name is period, right? And I'm doing a contain thing, that's going to match period by itself. And it's going to match any number of special characters without anything else.
Yep, any special characters. So like if you did 50 periods or 25 periods and 64 commas or something, it's still going to trigger off of that single period.
Okay, but it under contains, not the matching.
Yes. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so but if it was like ... so just to clarify, it's like or ... dash, that would match, but ... a would not match.
Correct. Yeah, because it would see it as our database would see it as a rule created with A as the character, I believe, is how that would work.
Okay.
Or it would look at it and go, hey, if there's an A in there, let me look at all these other characters too. So
and that probably explains why I was a little confused, because before I created a rule that looked for just the single period, and I noticed it caught some other rules that like were, or some other things that were like, I don't think it was a letter, maybe like dash or comma or something like that. So it's like, oh, it must be a wild card for single characters, and then it didn't catch like a as a real name. So that explains it. So basically, then you have to use the matching question mark, and that will cover anything that contains a single character, or you could do. But I guess then dot dot wild card, like dot dot asterisk, is superfluous then, if as long as you have the dot.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, it's really weird how the database works, and that's one thing I noticed. I was like, that's so strange, because when I was first at SaaS, I would do a search for, I would want to find all these special characters, and if I found that if I just put a single period, it found me all of them. I was like, why doesn't SaaS do that? So they changed it so it did. I was like, because that saves me time. I don't have to create a description detail filter for 2 periods, and then 3 periods, and then 4 periods, and God forbid 5 periods. And so yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Just
did.
have
I
to
just
do
went
that.
for like dot 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 and then dot dot star, because I noticed that some people were there. They were basically just changing it to have like 4, 5, 6 dots, and then
Yeah. Yeah, that was pain. That I've seen rules that was like pages long. I'm like, oh, that's awful. So yeah.
Thank you.
We good, James?
I am good, thank you.
Fantastic. Austin, how are you, man?
Doing good.
Very good.
So I just to follow up on that. So if we have like a description detail matches pattern question mark, it's like an exact match, right? Like it's not gonna say like this rule contains, it definitely starts with 2 characters, but then it has like 10 more characters after it. So if it's like question mark, that's like any character, but like, it has to be an exact match. It's not like a contain. It's like an in operator, basically, if that makes sense.
Let me see. Let me pull this up. So for this one, are you using contains, or are you doing match pattern?
Matches pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically,
and it wouldn't let me just do one. So like I had to do, I was thinking for an inbox rule, right? Like, I mean, I wanted to do one because I'm thinking I haven't seen a legit. Okay, that's
So
how you would get it. Okay, you could
yeah.
just do one. Okay, inbox rule
Yeah.
question mark created.
Exactly. And so what
Amazing.
this would do is would basically be any alphanumeric character, like any 2 alphanumeric characters would trigger this rule. But
Right.
if you're only looking for special characters, then you would basically just do a period or something, and that is considered a rule that it created as blank, which doesn't exist, thankfully, yet.
Right. Okay,
And
cool.
then
Matches
star would be
patterns.
everything.
And then my other question for y'all is everyone seeing like way more Google Workspace incidents? Like I've seen several Google Workspace man in the middle phishing
Really?
pages. Yeah, over the last couple of weeks, or maybe like over the last month or 2. Whereas I always knew that would eventually happen, but it's kind of like Max, because it's only like 10% of the ecosystem. They're just a
Yes.
smaller target.
Yes.
And so, and like, and one of them, they stole the credentials, right? Like from this phishing page. But nothing shows up in the logs until they use their credentials, right? Whereas like in 365, when they steal the credentials, boom, it shows up. But then whenever they log in, right? Like the first manual login, that's also another event. But basically in Google Workspace, from what I was seeing in this one man in the middle page, it only showed up when they finally had the first manual login. So I guess I'm wondering, if y'all are seeing that, how you're adjusting to it. And then also, Anthony, I wanted to do my biannual bug you for more Google Workspace, alerting. And also if there's like a good way for me to make feature requests, because I think the current page is broken. And like, anyway, I want the risky activity equivalent in 360, like the one that Google has, that they just call it like suspicious activity. Anyway, I'd love that in Google Workspace. So it's a lot of questions, but that's
take a look at that link that Ben just plugged in. If you go there and you're not allowed to log in, email Ben or I, or Logan or Maya. We've all got access to
I
it.
don't have access. You are looking on that.
Everybody email Ben. Never email. Yeah.
I will forward you. I will create a mailbox
yeah.
forwarding rule for you.
Note, if anybody here on this call hasn't tripped across it, is it's for partners only. It's not exactly public facing. It's our way of giving you a chance to upvote or downvote ideas. Pester Dev, they watch that very closely.
They do.
Anybody
Really closely.
who's new to this call, this platform evolved from a widget to what it is based on feedback from you, from people exactly like you. So we love that feedback, even if it's every week. It seems Austin is asking for more Google telemetry. I make no joke about this when I say bring it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's good to know, Medina. Thank you. We don't, as Austin correctly noted, yeah, less than 10% of the platform is monitoring Google, just because we just don't have partners that have got a lot of depth out there in Google, except for a couple of guys who do schools, you know. So if you're seeing some trends out there, let's continue to have this conversation again in 2 weeks, or on the Thursday call if you can show up there. The dev guys are actually usually on that call, and just let them know. But let us know if you don't have access to Nolt. We'll get you access. Go through and upvote anything that looks good to you. If you don't see your question or your need there, open up a request for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it. I've got a pretty spreadsheet, so I'm going to drop it and Note whenever I get access.
Right on. Right on. Last couple of minutes here, guys. Any other 911 issues before we break for the day? Folks, I want to thank everybody. Oh, go ahead, Austin.
No, I think Stephen may have had a question about SentinelOne and like if in Respond you can basically correlate events between two different applications. Was that essentially the question, Stephen?
That was it.
I appreciate that. I don't know how I missed that. The short answer is yes. We can look at activity between multiple applications. Did I sign in using my SaaS alerts or my Salesforce credentials in England at the same time that I'm downloading files in Texas? So there's from Microsoft in Texas.
Right.
So there we can look at those. Most of those are set to low kinds of alerts, so I would stack behavior that would sort of point at bad guy and non-standard behavior.
Well, I actually what I meant was whenever you add an application, let's say you're editing an organization and you're adding the applications like Microsoft, whatever, customer apps, there's one called SentinelOne, for example. If you connect that to the organization, what does that do for data enrichment, or what does it do?
Go to settings, modify. Sorry, I've lost the pull down, Ben. It's customize alerts, settings, customize alerts. And this is actually important for everybody to know. You see that? Go look at SEN SentinelOne.
Oh, okay.
So between the two of those, you see top left, 13 different data points. That's what the APIs expose.
Okay.
Gosh, if you'd like to know more about what SentinelOne is doing, go yell at SentinelOne and say, hey, expose more in your APIs. And I mean this with all joking aside. My favorite example is IT Glue. Long before the acquisition, IT Glue was a great business partner because we said, hey, your API is decent, but we want it robust. We want lots of really interesting stuff going on. And so over the years, IT Glue has opened up their API and given us more data to help you guys. So I love IT Glue for that. Now, if you look at something like Duo, their API is weak. It shares almost nothing. And
Yeah,
there's
this one
nothing
doesn't
SaaS
share
alerts can
that
do.
much either. Mostly just user actions.
Yeah.
I
There are
would
some things.
be interested in like event data.
Yeah, exactly. So this is an evolving field. Anytime you're in front of a software manufacturer who's selling you something, tell them their API needs to be robust. We need syslog data. We need event data. We need as much visibility as possible, because I'll harp on this. I can't see I can't protect what I can't see.
Yeah, and if they are giving it, I would just put in a note request too. I haven't looked at their API, but I would love to
Yeah,
see
and if
more
you-
information coming from them. We do something similar with EDR. We pull in actual event data and not just like user activity.
And I don't want to tease this because it'll probably be talked about this Thursday or the following Thursday, but we have gotten to the point where we're going to regurgitate an old process called App Wizard that is going to help with this. So
Oh yeah, that thing's gonna be
look,
the bomb.
it's going to be a major step forward. And it's what we were doing in the background. We're going to give you guys a lot more control of that. So watch this space. I know that
I'm excited
Adam,
for that.
yeah, Adam and the crew are going to try to deliver something this month. Otherwise, next quarter for sure. So look for that. I'm out of time.
Awesome.
I know a bunch of folks are. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, especially those of you who have joined long after supper hours or long before breakfast hours. We appreciate the feedback as always. Anything we can do to help in the meantime, you know where to find us.
Stay safe, guys.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.